Hey, it's Aaron, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the 8 money mistakes that you must avoid at all costs. If you're brand new to the channel, we always come up with content that will teach you how to build more wealth in your life. So go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So the thing about having a lot of money is that a lot of the time, it's not just about learning how to generate a lot of money, but it's also about understanding how to have the right money habits so that you're not spending money that you don't have. Let's take, for example, Mike Tyson, who at the peak of his career had about $300 million. By 2003, he filed for bankruptcy and he had more than $20 million in debt. And this is a pretty normal story with a lot of sports figures that rise to fame really, really quickly. They have a ton of money, hundreds of millions, and by the end of it, they don't really have anything to really show for it. And it's because they don't understand how to manage their money properly. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 8 biggest mistakes in money that you shouldn't be making and how you can avoid them like the plague. So the first big mistake is excessive smoking and drinking, okay? There are a lot of people that love to smoke, and if you think about it, smoking especially is, well, first of all, a really, really bad habit, and it's very expensive. If you're smoking on average a pack of cigarettes a day, which a lot of people do smoke, that's about $10 per pack of cigarettes. That's $70 a week that you're spending on cigarettes, and that's $280 a month that you're spending on a very, very bad habit that might kill you in the medium to long term. So definitely something to consider stopping or at least cutting back. I mean, you don't necessarily need to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, maybe smoke a quarter of a pack a day, and that will help you just to automatically save a lot more money. The same goes with drinking. I mean, if you're drinking a 6-pack every single day, that adds up. So again, I'm not saying quit it completely, but think about your health and also think about how much money you're spending. A lot of people don't realize that drinking and smoking actually is one of those habits where money is just flying out the window. You're literally spending hundreds of dollars every single month, and that could go to your savings or it could go to building your wealth a little bit more. Money mistake number 2 is spending more money than you earn. Now, a lot of people are guilty of this. A lot of people try to keep up with the Joneses. With the advent of social media, people always posting their best life, right? It's literally snapshots of their life, and a lot of people try to keep up with everybody else. So they end up spending a lot more money than they actually have just to keep up with everybody else. And the biggest reason why a lot of people feel compelled to spend a lot more money than they earn is because they want to impress people that they don't really even care about, which is the strangest thing, all right? So stop trying to impress people. Stop trying to live beyond your means. Stop trying to spend more money than you actually earn. I mean, think about this. If you earn $3,000 a month and you're trying to have a $2,000 vacation, or you want that $2,000 smartphone, that doesn't really make sense, right? Or if there is a brand new iPhone that's being released every single year, you don't necessarily need to upgrade to that newest iPhone because your old iPhone works perfectly fine and it does everything that you need it to do. So if you learn to scale back a little bit, if you track your expenses every single month, if you stop trying to impress everybody and pretend like you're living the best life on social media when nobody really even cares, the only thing that does is it feeds your ego, right? You need to learn to be comfortable in your own skin. You need to be comfortable where you are, and you don't need to impress anybody around you. And by doing that, you're automatically going to save a ton of money, and you're not going to be in debt, and you're not going to be spending way beyond your means, which is the reason why a lot of people have no savings, they're in debt, and they're not able to build their wealth.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
So if you want to find out exactly how I was able to get to over $1 million in commissions, I would love to show you how to do that for free. I've got a 6-figure workshop that you can check out if you want. All you need to do is go ahead and click the link below and register for that workshop, and then just check your email. Make sure you check your spam folder because sometimes emails end up in spam these days, and then enjoy the workshop. Money mistake number 3 is not learning to invest wisely. All right, so if you want to invest, that's already a good head start because a lot of people are not investing their money, and you definitely want to put a little bit of money into making money for itself. You don't really necessarily want to always be working for money. You want money to build on its own. And a lot of people like to get into real estate because it's one of those traditional investments that people think, if I have a bit of extra money, I should own a property. I should own 2 or 3 properties. But the reality is that real estate might not necessarily be the right investment vehicle for you. If you think about it, real estate is traditionally extremely expensive. Okay, you're gonna have to take a loan from the bank, you're going to have to renovate the property, you're going to have to cover the mortgage, and there's a lot of costs involved in real estate. Not only do you have to pay for the property, but things break down that you have to cover because you're the owner. You might lose your renter, which means that you have to cover the mortgage. Property investing also has a lot of ongoing hidden costs. So in total, property might not be the best investment vehicle for you, right? So it's good to want to invest, but what I highly recommend recommend is you do your research, okay? Don't just listen to the advice of your friends if they say, oh, you should get into property, right? Because maybe property is not the right thing for you right now. Maybe you should be investing in something that allows you to be a little bit more liquid, that doesn't require you to put up so much capital. And perhaps you should be investing in something that you don't have to hold necessarily for 20 or 30 years before you see a decent return on it. So again, the idea here is to invest, but be careful in what you invest in. Don't just listen to the advice of random people, and really take the time to do your research before you actually invest your money, because there are a lot of great investment vehicles out there, but it must be right for you in your particular situation. Big money mistake number 4 is getting sucked in by get rich quick schemes, okay? I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to get rich quick, but the reality is that there's no such thing as getting rich quick, okay? There's only getting rich slow, and that's okay. So what we're talking about here is staying away from Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, and making money overnight schemes. Look, if something guarantees you an ROI of 200% in 3 months, and there are a lot of these types of things around, it's too good to be true. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Look, if it looks like a duck, if it swims like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, all right? So you just need to be careful and stay away from anything that just sounds too good to be true. There is nothing wrong with putting in a little bit of time to grow something that will eventually bear you a lot of fruit and give you a lot of ROI. But if it's something ridiculous where you know that it just doesn't sound right and there are a lot of red flags, you should just stay away from them, because again, you're taking a huge risk in your finances, and it's very, very likely that you're going to lose your pants and you're going to lose a lot of money. So it's more about understanding how to build something over a longer period of time and mentally being okay with that, because that thing, whether it's a business or it's a new income stream, is going to give you a lot more money back than jumping onto something like, you know, make money overnight thing, or a Ponzi scheme, or a pyramid scheme, which you know kind of looks like that, but you're like, you know, I'm going to take the risk anyway. Because remember, when you take that risk, the likelihood of you losing that investment that you just put in is very, very high. So be very careful. Money mistake number 5 is not having an emergency fund. In 2019, the Federal Reserve did a study that said that 40% of all Americans could not afford a $400 shortfall in cash flow. That means that if they needed to come up with $400, 40% of Americans couldn't come up with it in cash. Okay, that is a crazy amount. That's 40% of the entire population of the United States. I mean, that's just how heavily dependent people are on credit cards, how bad they are at saving money, and how badly they need an emergency fund. So the solution here is to stop overspending, is to save a little bit more money, is to stop putting things on your credit card, and the best solution is to set up something called an automatic transfer every single month and save at least 10% of your salary that goes from one bank account to your savings account every single month, all right? Now the big question is how much of an emergency fund should you have? Well, I reckon that you should have at least 6 months of an emergency fund. And if you think, well, Aaron, that sounds like a lot of money, well, the reality is that if you save 10% of your salary every single month, you'd be surprised how quickly you save up to 6 months. And then you can just put that money aside, you can close your eye, and you can know that if something really bad happens, you have at least 6 months worth of salary that will cover you in case of an emergency. And there is nothing better than having that sense of security, knowing that no matter what happens to you in life, you've got that nice little pool that will cushion you for any big blow in life. Big money mistake number 6 is relying just on one source of income. Listen, I know that that's a very, very traditional way of thinking. Most people are brought up that way. I know I certainly was. I come from a traditional Asian family that taught me work hard, go to school, and then, you know, wear a suit to work and just have one job and then work your way up the corporate ladder or whatever it is and just get your salary, right? But the reality is that we can't rely on a salary job anymore. You can't rely on just one income, because a lot of people get laid off. In 2018, the US laid off 20 million people. Think about that, right? That is a huge amount of people, and every single year people continue to get laid off for all sorts of reasons. The economy is going badly, there's a war somewhere, you know, something is going on with the world, money is being overprinted, inflation is going up, there's a new president in place, policies change. I mean, there's always stuff that's going on externally, and if you don't protect yourself and be smart about researching how are some of the ways that you can make additional streams of income, so that just in case you lose your job, something happens to your salary, you get injured, right? And you can't rely on your salary every single month. There has to be a way for you to make money from other sources of income. So what you need to do is research multiple streams of income. I suggest going online, because online there are many, many different ways to make income. And I'm going to share one great one at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around. But making money on the internet is one of the best ways to add additional streams of income if you decide that you do want to stay in a normal salary traditional job. But don't think just for 1 second that just because you have a job right now that you're your income is secure, okay? Things change, economies change, companies change, leadership changes, and shit just happens, right? To the best people, unfortunately. So the only way to protect yourself against bankruptcy or having to move out of your house and live on the street or not being able to feed your family or not being able to put a roof over your head at night is to make sure that financially you're secure and you have multiple streams of income from multiple sources. Money mistake number 7 is relying on credit cards. Okay, this is a huge one. I alluded to it earlier. There are way too many cultures out there that spend a lot of their money on their credit cards, and what that does is it promotes impulse spending. It promotes the idea and the illusion that you have more money than you have, because the truth is that if you spend money on your credit cards all the time, you're not actually spending your own money, you're spending the bank's money. And what happens is when you swipe that credit card every single time, you're incurring a lot of debt, and then you have to pay the bank interest, which starts to roll and gets really out of control because your debt grows and grows and grows. In 2022, the average American has $6,600 in credit card debt. That is a lot of debt. I don't have any credit card debt. I'm actually the worst banking customer because I don't actually roll any of my credit card debt onto the next month. What I do is I use my credit card to get credit card points so that I could spend it on my travels and business class and things like that. But I actually pay my credit cards back every single month. So my bank doesn't actually make any interest from me, which again makes me a really bad customer. Okay, so the only reason why you should have a credit card is for convenience. And what I recommend is you snip your credit card, get yourself a Visa, MasterCard debit card, for example, so you still have the convenience of swiping, but mentally you're going to be a lot more careful in spending your money, because with a debit card you're spending money that you actually have. It's coming directly out of your checking account or your savings account, which means that you're going to be a lot more careful with spending money, and you're not going to simply just buy random stuff and buy jeans and clothes and iPhones that you don't necessarily need. You're going to think twice before you spend money on stuff that you don't necessarily need. And money mistake number 8 is being scared to take some financial risk, okay? You've probably heard the saying, no risk, no reward, right? So it is important to start building up a little bit of tolerance for taking on a little bit of financial risk. Look, we're not saying, take super duper high risk, but what we are saying is don't be super conservative and try and stick all your money under your mattress or leave everything in your savings account, right? Because look, savings accounts don't give you any interest. If anything, they give you 0.5% interest growth per year. But if you take your money out of your savings account and you move it into, for example, a fixed deposit account, you might be making just over 3% per annum. So that's a little bit better, but you got to take into account inflation every single year, right? So don't leave your money in a fixed deposit. Take on a little bit more risk and perhaps move some of that money into index funds, for example. That gives on average 7% per annum returns, okay? But that's a little bit more risk. And then if you want to take a little bit more risk, you might take some of that money from a index fund and move it into a mutual fund, which will give you on average about 12 to 13% per annum, right? You get the idea. So the idea is to grow your money, invest some of your money, but understand that every time you move your money into a vehicle that's going to give you a little bit more return every single year, you're going to take on that incremental risk, and that's okay, all right? So be willing to take on a little bit of financial risk. Don't be so conservative that you can't even cover the cost of inflation every single year, because inflation rises every single year that we're alive, right? So taking on a little bit of risk is good. Be willing to learn how to become open-minded to taking on more risk, because risk allows you to get bigger rewards. For me, certainly, I went from a very risk-averse person to someone who is willing to take on a ton of risk, especially, building businesses and investing in some higher risk investments. But it has played out for me very well. So be willing to do that and push yourself to the next level every single time. So there you have it, 8 of the top money mistakes that you must avoid at all costs. I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I hope you take this advice and implement it in your life, because if you do implement at least some of these, I know for a fact that you're going to be able to grow your wealth. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section below. Would appreciate some thumbs ups if you got some value from this video today. And if you would like to find out the quickest way to get to multiple 6 figures using the power of the internet, this is how I was able to do it. I would love to show you how to do that for free. I've got a free 6-figure workshop. You can register just by clicking on the link below in the description box or the comment section, and I look forward to seeing you there. So I hope you enjoyed the video today and you got lots of value from it and you learned a lot from it. If you like content like this, remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you know every time we come up with a brand new video. And if you want, you can check out one of the videos I recorded recently. Super fun. You're gonna get a lot of value from it as well, and I hope to see you there. Take care.